Thank you to DangerTalk's presenting sponsor, DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app now and use code DangerTalk.
Hello, Seahawks fans, comedy fans, Russell Wilson fantasy sport owners. Welcome to Danger Talk with Russell Wilson. I'm Jeff Dye. First game of the season, Russ, is in the books. My beloved Seahawks, your Seahawks won 38-25. You threw 4 touchdown passes along with a very efficient 31 and 35. Man, I am so proud to be your friend. Tell me what was clicking out there, Bubba.
You're proud to be my friend because we threw 31-35, 4 touchdowns, or just proud to be my friend?
Proud to be your friend, man. You're the best. You're a role model. Your dad. You're crushing it. Win is undefeated as watch. Yeah, so I'm very proud. Tell me about the game though. I want to hear about the stuff I can't see.
Well, Win is definitely 1-0, which is good. We got to keep that going for the next 16 plus games here. But the game was a great game. I thought we played great. Everybody, the offensive line did really good, obviously. And I think, receivers make plays all day. We got so many skilled guys. And to have Jamal Adams out there, man, he's making plays all over the field. So I'm excited about this season, what we got ahead of us. But obviously, it's just one game. We got a lot more to do. We got this, this game coming up, at home. It's our first home game, with no fans. It's kind of crazy, because it's interesting. When we were playing, I was sitting in the pocket and, and normally, you have all this real noise and the fans and you just get really zoned in. And the first couple snaps, it's like, okay, like we're playing a real game. Oh wait, they can tackle me. So you kind of start realizing that as it's all going, because you've been practicing for the past month and a half, but nobody's been hitting you because I've been wearing my red jersey. But now it's real. So it's the real thing. We're fired up about the team that we have and and everything else. So we're excited about it.
Let's talk about that touchdown pass to DK. I love DK, by the way. It was in the third quarter. It's a close game at the time. Falcons get the stop on third, and you guys got to go for it. I heard you say you saw him celebrating on the sideline and you wanted to be aggressive. But what else goes into the decisions of those kind of things? I've never been an athlete or a pro quarterback, but not only you went for it, but you went for it big. Like what decides all that? What goes through your brain on that?
Well, to me, I just saw them celebrating on the sideline. I was pretty pissed off. To be honest with you, I was pretty hot because, the play didn't work the play before. I was like, you know what? You guys are over here dancing, celebrating. Let's go after them right here. I told everybody, I kind of gave my hand to the sideline. Just, hey, we're going to stay on the field. We're going to go for this.
I love that.
And sure enough, DK did a great job getting by his guy and getting down the field and scoring a touchdown. So, that was a big touchdown. We need that one.
You're a humble guy. You let that be a lesson to all these other sideline guys, You're dancing around. Russ is going to burn you. I love it. So this is kind of a more serious question, but, you talked about a little bit afterwards, but, people that come to the podcast are going to want to hear this a lot more in depth. But Matt Ryan and you talked after the game, and you guys evidently had a pregame conversation. Can you tell us about that? Like what went into all that?
Well, that's a great question, Jeff. Obviously there's so much going on in the world right now. Our country is in a horrendous place, honestly. We're in a place of turmoil. We're in a place of sin and sadness and pain and hurt. And, us as players, as you know, Jeff, us as players, we've been really trying to get together to talk about, what can we do, as our own individual teams, but also what can we do in our communities and how can we help make a difference. And so going into the first game of the season, it's always an exciting time. It's like, usually the first game of the season is an exciting time because, it's like the grand opening of baseball again. Hey, we're back. It's like the first pitch of the game. It's like the first kickoff. It's the first moment. It's the first special thing. And so, when you play quarterback, there's this kind of this amazing opportunity and relationship that you build with guys. And I've gotten to know Matt over the years. And so ironically, when I think back to when I was in college, I got to know Matt. He actually came to my game. I was playing at NC State against Georgia Tech, and he came to my game. He came to the game, I believe, and he also came to the hotel, way back then. Just we got to meet and talk and everything else. And so I started building a relationship with him when I was in college, and just always admired how he played the game. But anyway, so we had hopped on the phone, and our team and the Atlanta Falcons were all trying to figure out as players, what do we do? And so we just tried to think about, ways to, make a difference. And, the Falcons had some really cool thoughts about, what we could do and how we could do it. And, and obviously it's really kind of the home of the civil rights movement, and everything that's going on in Atlanta and everything else. And so we as Seahawks and the Falcons, we wanted to, try to find a way to, to bring attention to everything that's been going on, and so anyways, we talked about different ways to do it. And I think what was really cool is so many guys expressed in their own way and everything else. But what we really talked about is, what do we do after this? How do we make an impact? And I think that's what's really important as teams and as organizations, as communities, that we come together, especially, your quarterbacks, especially your star players on each teams and your ownership, of teams and everything else. And I remember Mr. Blank actually came up to me pregame and talked about, he said, Russ, I really love all the things that you're doing and the community and everything else, and just really want to, let's make sure that we try to, do more, and it's trying to find new ways. So it's an interesting time. And I think, as much as it hurts everything that's going on, people are paying attention, and people are trying to find a way to make a difference. And not everybody knows the exact answer. Not everybody knows how, but we are making a step in the right direction, hopefully. And that's why it's so important that we vote. That's why it was so important for us as players to make sure that we got people registered to vote, and we do that whole process, because it's an important time, and every vote counts. Every vote matters. And, as much as this game matters, right, life matters. And, the reality is COVID doesn't really, care about, how many touchdowns, unfortunately. And, just to be honest with you, being African-American and having to deal with everything that's going on, sometimes it doesn't matter. And that's the thing, and so it's a scary thought, and we got to make the world a better place. And so it's, I really respect how Matt and I get to have some time to talk, the Friday before the game, basically the week before the game, that Monday and Tuesday as well. And both teams came together to try to make a difference, and we want to keep doing that for sure.
Well, I love that, because I think something that's important that, not everybody's saying is that these issues, civil rights issues and police issues and the pandemic and COVID-19, these are all of our issues. This isn't just a cultural or small. This is us. We got to unite. We got to come together. This is so I loved watching that, because this is something we all are dealing with, and we should all be included. And if you think, oh, that's not my problem, it is. This is all of our thing. So I loved watching that. It made me very, very happy.
Well, I think one of the things I got to talk about in my press conference afterwards too, I know we're about to bring our guest on here too in a second, but I think one of the things I got to talk about in our press conference was just how important it is. Somebody asked me a really great question. I think it was Greg Bell of Seattle, and he asked me the question about Breonna Taylor and what that meant to me. And I talked about my daughter, just how when I think about Breonna Taylor, I think about my daughter and how that could be her one day. And that's a scary thought. It's and we got to change the world. We got to make a difference. We got to make we got to be able to hold people accountable and find ways to do this the right way. We got to do the right thing. And I also talked about just how important it is to love. It doesn't matter what people's faith is necessarily or anything like that. Jeff, I believe in Jesus and all that, as you know, but I think for me, it's just what's really important is that Jesus commands us in John 13 for us to love one another. And no matter where you come from, we all want that, right? I mean, we all want
Absolutely.
that, no matter what our religion is, whatever. We all want love. We all want love, no matter where we come from. And I think that's really important, that we can impact our own circles. And my circumference of influence may be bigger than somebody else's. But the reality is that it all matters. It all matters, and so hopefully we can do that better.
100%. Also, speaking of your circumference of influence, new baby boy in the house, and like I said earlier a second ago, undefeated. Big debut for Win. The photo Sierra posted is adorable. I didn't know they had padded pants that small.
I know, right?
Very, very impressive. What do you think about Wynn's debut?
Well, I think win is on a hot streak. You got to keep the hot streak going. And the best part about the whole outfit was the wink and the eye black. The wink and the eye black, that's key. Wink and the eye black, that's a money shot. So that was good.
All right, Russ. So the Seahawks are 1-0. Next week, big home opener against the New England Patriots. Well, let's talk about that at the end of the show. I say we bring on our guest. We're excited to have him. I did it last week. Why don't you introduce him this week?
Well, I'm fired up about this guest because last week we had Shaq, but this week I'm fired up about this guy because he's, in my opinion, he's a two-sport star, if you know what I mean. Our guest today is a star of the new hit movie Tenet. You have probably seen him in the hit TV show Ballers or Oscar-nominated Black Klansman. He also is a former NFL running back. Please welcome to the one and only show and legendary actor John David Washington, aka JD. JD, what's up, man?
Legendary. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
It's good to see you, bro. It's good to hear from you. We're fired up to have you here on Danger Talk, and I know you're a baller. So before you even dive into this whole, Tenet movie that you've been starring in, and such an incredible, movie, I actually haven't seen it yet. I'm excited to take Sierra out on date night of this Friday, and we're gonna spend some time watching the movie. So I got something that I get a little extra brownie points this weekend. But but listen, man, we're
glad I can help out.
Yeah, man. Let's go. She loves the action movies. So JD, talk to me about also too, everything that's been going on with the pandemic, what you've been up to, and all that.
Yeah, well, it's been definitely a time of reflection. Been able to, my life it was slowed down. Like, it's interesting being with my family more than I have since maybe high school. So my whole last year was basically spent overseas. I was in Greece, I was in Denmark, I was in Oslo, I was in UK. I was all over the country for 9 months basically. Basically by myself. So it was nice. It's nice to be with family and between movies and grilling. I'm a grill master. Me and my brother and I, we do these smash burgers on the weekends.
What you know about that, man?
And everything. Well, what you know about that, Russ? Hold on now. You know what I'm saying? Quarterback the grill, man. I can do that.
Hey, my ribs are slapping, brother. My ribs are slapping.
For real? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. You make your own sauce, though, Russ? Do you make your own sauce?
Hey, every once in a while I will. 50-50 chance, though.
Okay. I'm just saying I can make my own sauce. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's not a competition, though. It's all good artistry. But yeah. But
that sounded like a competition to me.
It kind of does, right? I mean, he just brings it out of you, I guess. He just brings it out of you. But I mean, if you want to go, I'm ready. I'm just saying, I'm ready. I'm prepared. But so between that, that and like some cooking, and then the movies. We watching a lot of movies as a family. Actually, what was really fun, especially early COVID days, every Sunday watching the Jordan documentary. Man, that was we had us fired up. Every Sunday we get together and just watch it like an event. It was great to gather around and do that. So been doing that. Then lately I've been able to been doing this press tour, selling the movie, whether it be on Warner Brothers lot or at a hotel they set up at a hotel for us, and they're doing all these interviews, and it's just such a relief to know that the people are finally getting access to it. They have a chance to see it. And speaking of date night, I highly recommend, if you want some extra brownie points with some ice cream on it, take it to the IMAX experience.
Okay,
IMAX experience, brother. That's what you want to do.
Hey, Daniel Mogg, producer over there, you hear that? Mark that down for me, all right? IMAX, so take a seat.
So my guy Jay Farrow does a fantastic impression of your dad, and I've heard that you do a good impression of your dad. I want to hear your impression, and I want to hear Russ's impression of your dad. You got one, Russ?
Well, I'm gonna let JD go first.
No, you gonna let me go first? I don't know. Let me see what I can. John David, take the trash out. John David, right now. I need you to take the trash out right now. Yeah, that's my COVID experience right there. That's all I got.
That's fantastic.
Well,
what you got? Go ahead.
My impression is my impression. Let me think here. What would be your best impression here? Russell Wilson. I can't do him, man. He's too good. He's too good of an actor. But all I know is he's gonna stare in your eyes. It's like asking somebody to sing Whitney Houston. You don't ask people to sing Whitney Houston. Just let him do his own thing. But I guess you guys are related, and you're all family here. Speaking of the pandemic, though,
you bailed quick on that, Russ. I've never seen you bail that quick.
I'm
you got me
telling you,
nervous,
right?
man. The pocket closed on me quick, man. The pocket closed on me quick. but speaking of the pandemic and everything else going on, I think about actors and for us as athletes, and you being a former athlete, you kind of know what it's like to worry. Like, are we going to play a game? Are we going to be able to do this? And in the movie where I kind of compare it to the Olympics a little bit. Every 4 years, every 2 years or so, for certain people, you have a new movie, you're excited for it to come out, and it takes time. In the sports world, we're used to playing so many games in basketball, football, baseball, every year. So in the acting world, how has that been for actors like yourself and others going through everything that's been going on and the worry and the stress of it all?
Yeah, no, that's a good comparison, actually, the Olympic comparison. I never thought of it that way. I think about that particularly for directors, and specifically, I can speak to like a Christopher Nolan, who he basically does projects every 3 years, every 4 years. For me personally, just as an actor, I just feel like I'll go anywhere and act. I mean, I'll do a play outside, do it remote in a park. I actually was doing that early in my career when I was studying at HB Studios in New York. We literally had a play we were doing called The Dutchman, and we would set up some chairs because it takes place on the subway. The actress and myself, and we just performed for people that were trying to get invested to produce the play. So I kind of had that mentality the whole way. There's always something I can do, even if it has to be somewhere remote. I can do some acting somewhere somehow. I can do a monologue. A Shakespeare monologue or whatever, I can always work on it in some form of fashion. It's interesting I think about me being an athlete now, especially coming from a historically Black college, one that's not notorious for having, athletes go to the NFL. If my senior year was taken away, how that would affect my draft status, how that would affect my undrafted status, how that would affect my opportunities and my reps in training camp. I don't get as much film because we don't have the preseason games. I really feel for those kids out there that got caught in between, and the reps are cut down because of this. It takes great strength and perseverance to believe in yourself and to invest in yourself. A lot like you did, Russ. And to trust that all you need is one shot. And all that mentality I always had, I take with me in my profession now. I look at the call sheet, no matter if I'm 1 or 25, I'm like, they might find another actor tomorrow. Who knows? So every day for me, like practice squad for me was Super Bowl. It was the Super Bowl week. Every practice for me was an opportunity to show that I deserve to be here, that I belong. Every take I can take advantage of that in filming. I'm like, I belong. This is why I'm here. I'm here to do this. So there's a lot of comparisons, and I can't imagine what somebody, an undrafted free agent, will be going through right now.
Well, you bring up a great point, because I think about when I go back to when I got drafted in 2012, I was 3rd round pick, 75th pick overall, and there was 2 guys playing in front of me, Tavares Jackson and also Matt Flynn, and they're the 1, number 2, and I was the 3 coming into camp, and I couldn't imagine having to go through so much of that and hoping to be a starter and being able to have this opportunity. And I feel for these guys, not having any preseason at all, and not having an opportunity to show off and show out, and not getting that chance. So, for the rookies that do play really well this year, it's going to be an amazing accomplishment. Just because one, you made the team, but 2, as you know, to not get those reps. And in the NFL, as you know, man, JD, it's like, man, there's a lot of that goes to it. Everybody kind of back in the day, there used to be a ton of hazing and a ton of all that, and now to not get those reps and not to get those opportunities, especially how much they've limited practice. I feel for those people too, especially for young actors who want to get an opportunity and they're waiting for the next movie and everything else. So I think that's really, really interesting too. So, I think about your football career. You talk about you going to college, and you played running back in college, right?
Yeah, I was tailback. Yeah, about 20 plus pounds ago.
Hey, listen, so I got these stats here. Tell me if these are true or not. Jeff Dye, you think these stats are true? Okay, running back at Morehouse College.
I believe in them.
Yeah, we're running back at Morehouse College, 2000-2005. Okay, I'm gonna read you all these stats. Okay, if y'all like numbers, here they go. He's got school records.
No.
Okay, single season rushing record. Rushing yards. Okay, 1,198. Okay, he got career rushing yards, almost 4,000. Okay, single game rushing yards. You had 242 yards in a one game.
Yeah, I did well. My mom was in the stands that night. I did well.
Balling, right? So you always got to do well. You know, when Mama Pauletta's in the stands, you know that, right?
I had to show out, man. And we were in Carolina, where she's from, so it was like it was special. I know my uncle, who's no longer with me, he was there. My grandfather who had passed away. I think about the Brett Favre game. You know, when his pops passed, like, and how when he went off on Monday Night Football, it was one of those moments where the vision was clear, and it's almost like, and I love those zones. If you can get in as an actor as well, where you're not thinking at all, you're just reacting. You're using your instincts. You do your preparation. You know, obviously, you know the defense. You know the tendencies. But when you don't really have to think, you know, when it's just your body and there's a spirit to it that just kind of tells you what to do, those are the kind of zones I love to be in. And that particular night, it was happening for me.
You played for the Rams. You got a rookie card, right? They make a rookie card for people in the NFL. Do you have the rookie card? And if you do, what did you do with it? Where is it?
Oh, you better believe I got a rookie card, and I gave it to every loved one I know. Like, that's right. Because it was almost like proof that I made it, man. You know what I'm saying? I gave my agent got one. I got I got uncles. I got cousins. Everybody got one. In fact, you know what I'm saying? I got them actually. They're actually in my old room. I got a whole bunch of them up there, and some in my apartment.
You got to shoot me and Rush one.
Yeah, we're gonna need one of those rookie cards for sure.
Say less. I got you.
So JD, what would you say your game was like? Were you more of a scat back? Tell me about your game. How'd you ball?
Well, I kind of had to. I started. I was like 212, 215 in college. I had the ability to make people miss, you know, in the hole, but had size enough to withstand the punishment and go in between the tackles. When I got to NFL, you know. Special teams is the way, as you know, as a way to get on. So I had to lose weight to make myself more, available for special teams in all phases. So I ended up playing at like 200 when I was in the league and in NFL, NFL Europa and the UFL. But I prided myself on being, never down back. I loved LaDainian Tomlinson. Obviously, I love Jerome Bettis, so being his size, and yet he still had great feet. There was a guy named Bam Morris, Natron Means. I used to love guys like them, too, back in the day. Herschel Walker, I was a fan of. Yep. I didn't grow tall enough, but I wanted to be quarterback. Nice. Randall Cunningham is the reason I wanted to play football. I never seen somebody that looked like me at a position like that play it that way. And he looked so sweet with that number 12 and that towel hanging and his gloves on. That was a special moment for me. I actually got to meet him before a game on the sideline. It was crazy to be able to meet him. So he was a huge influence on me. Just never seeing, anybody play the position like that, and seeing where the game is, how it's evolved now, and seeing all you all out there doing your thing. It's just, it really brings me great pride and joy that I can only imagine being a kid now having options, to seeing quarterbacks that look like us. It's really great to see.
Well, I think, JD, one of the things you talked about too is like, I think about Randall Cunningham. I mean, he was doing stuff that, the guys like myself or Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes was doing, years ago. And people don't give him enough credit, man. My dad used to talk about him all the time, man, just how he can make all these throws and all these plays, and watching some of his highlights has been amazing, and when you think about that, how tough it is back then in particular, to be an African-American quarterback and to have those dreams of doing that. And now I think times have definitely changed in that opportunity, but you've also, I heard it's true that Jim Brown watched some of your games. Is that right?
Oh, look at you. Oh, you dug that up, huh? Yeah. I happened to ball out that game too. I was in high school. I was like 250 some yards, 2 touchdowns. We lost that game, but my first 2 touches of that game, I went for a 60-yarder. Then I went for like a 70-yarder. And he was there to witness it, the OG. So that was a great moment for me. We lost that game. We were 1 game away from state championship, but I balled out in front of him. So that was yeah, that was a great moment for me. I was back in high school at Campbell Hall.
Speaking of speaking about UJD too as well. When you think about your favorite sports and all that, playing, growing up and everything else, did you just play football, or what other sports did you play?
Yeah, so I played some basketball. I ran track my senior year. Back in Little League, I could kick a soccer ball pretty well. I was my 5-pitch days, I was the man. I was knocking it out the park. By that I mean I was just getting double plays, but I getting to second base mostly. But yeah, I actually, you know what I wanted to do really, because I used to love again, movies are such a big part of my life. So I loved Mighty Ducks growing up. I wanted to play hockey so bad because again, like I didn't see too many of us playing it, and it just looked so much fun. And I thought like maybe this is an opportunity like a Randall Cunningham I could break through. So I have rollerblades, I got a hockey stick, and I go out there trying to do the triple D like they did.
There's not too many black dudes playing hockey. I know Patrick Subban is taking over hockey right now, so I know that, right?
Yeah, shout out. But that was I wanted to play hockey. I mean, but in LA too, there's not a lot of you can't just get a pickup game going on the ice. But I definitely wanted to play hockey growing up.
You ever go golfing or anything?
You know what? Nah, now putt. I got you. No problem. If you want to get out there and get on that putt green, I got you. But
it sounds like he's competitive, Jeff Dye. He wants to try to beat me in cooking. He wants to beat me in putt. But next thing you know, he's gonna try to beat me in throwing the ball down the field.
Everything's a competition, but it's only with you. He doesn't get that competitive vibe from me.
I'm not gonna set myself up now. Now, if you want to take it to Madden or something like that, no problem. But not in real life. You got that.
Oh, now we're talking.
There you go.
Sounds like we got a Madden challenge.
Do you do fantasy sports?
Nah, I don't. I haven't. You know who I have an auntie that was doing it for a while. That was into fantasy football. It was in a league.
Does she got Russell Wilson on her team?
I can't confirm or deny that. It was some years ago. I don't remember.
So who's your favorite team? Speaking of NFL, who's your favorite team? Who do you root for?
Well, because of Randall Cunningham, I'm a lifelong Eagles fan.
Yeah,
I know.
We're 0 for 2, Russ, on guess. 0 for 2.
Disappointment.
I mean, that really hurt me. I grew up watching Donovan McNabb and these guys like that, but now, you're on my podcast, the DangerTalk podcast, and you're an Eagle fan. Man, you got the wrong birds, man. What we doing?
Listen, y'all. You're doing just fine. I want you. I really want you to get them Brady numbers, man. Just keep going after them rings, man. You know what I'm saying? You're making us all proud, for real, man.
I appreciate you, man. We're gonna have to do that. And so let's go talk about just your parents, your acting career, everything, how all that came out together. Obviously everybody knows your dad and what he's done and everything else. Denzel and everything else, but. Talk to me about your mom. Obviously Pauletta Washington was, big time herself and super accomplished. And, how did she help phase your whole thought process and your acting career and how that all came together from sports to obviously acting?
Well, I appreciate your compliments, man. She means everything to me. She when I think about her life, a dark-skinned woman growing up in rural North Carolina who learned how to play piano at the age of like 8 or 9 years old would have to take, like the Green Book route to the bigger city to learn how to play piano, like, on weekends, to graduate to going overseas and being in competitions to like Germany at this young age. And that time, it's really profound. She's basically a child prodigy. She is of the art. She has a master's in it. So she is a real and true artist. Always has been. Was doing really well. Before I was born, working constantly on Broadway, on and off Broadway plays and musicals. She believed in the craft first, even before marriage. She always wanted a family, but she was working. She was busy. So and she's such a hard worker. She's just, both of my parents are. That's what I learned from, just the value of hard work and what it means, for you and to be the best you can be, to maximize your opportunities and your talent. to match that intensity of, your passion of how much you want to do it with the hard work. And even so, like even my process now, she's very much included in my process, where she reads she'll read the script and then we'll read together. She'll read the other characters and read opposite of me and really just kill me. She'll be breaking me down. And then when I'm just trying to, hear the words, not even off book yet, she's like, nope, that's wrong. Nope, that's false. Nope, that's fake. I'm like, Mom, like, even on this last project, she was killing me. I'm like, Mom, I'm not even off book yet. I just want to hear the words. She's like, well, then don't ask me to read with you. so she's tough, and I love it. I love that about her. She's very much a part of my process. And I always too, when the movie's done, I always ask the directors if they can let her see it first. I liked her to get her eyes on it before I do, because it's hard for me to watch myself on screen, honestly.
Yeah, no, I love that. Jeff, does your mom read your jokes before you go on stage?
Absolutely not. And actually, it's kind of funny. I was thinking about this when you were asking him about his mom. Is that I had a comedy show and I invited Russ and he brought some of his teammates down and they watched my comedy show. And you also brought your family. Your mom came to one of my comedy shows, and I run a nice clean show. But my openers, there was a few comedians before me that I don't think your mom was too impressed with.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Jeff Dye runs a clean show. Yeah.
You remember that, Russ?
Okay. I do remember that. I remember
I am clean, but the other comics, they.
Was it without warning? Yeah. Was she not prepared?
I was going to ask.
Listen, Mama Wilson, she was cool with it, but she's one of them, strong in her faith, all that stuff. So, but right. she laughs a good amount though. She did like Jeff Dye though. She thought that you were pretty good.
She thought
the other ones were.
I had her.
Real rookie level, but but
I'm way cleaner than those other creeps,
So,
right.
So one of the things you talked about, going back to your mom, I think about my connection with my mom and just how much, my dad and I, a lot of people talk about my dad and I because my dad's no longer here for me. And, he passed away. He was a lawyer, he played in the NFL for a little bit. And he was such a big, important figure in my life. But my mom was the one who really taught me so much. She taught me about my faith and everything else. She taught me, really taught me how to love, and I read a quote that you had talked about, referring to your dad. You mentioned something about, how, you said my father was the one who taught me how to hunt, and my mother was the one who taught me how to love. And I think about that because my mom was the one, despite everything going on with my dad being sick and my dad being on his deathbed, my mom taught me how to remain loyal, how to remain faithful, how to just have hope and better days, and just having hope and love. And so I've always noticed that about my mom. And it's no greater feeling than to have that woman's love, to have that motherly figure too. Absolutely. As well in your life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I would echo that too in my experience. I am faith-based, I pray every day, and she's such a strong woman. She's strong too because of her consistency. That it's not unwavering. It's always there. I can always depend on her strength and her beliefs. Since I can remember as a kid. It's just just being able to see the good in everybody and everything. And obviously not being a sucker, not falling for everything, but there's always good. And she always would say, see the God in it. Put the God in it. You know what I mean? So you can see there's good in whatever. So, that could be some people say that, that's an optimistic way of living, but I think it's just more of discernment, and relying on that with every situation. And obviously you do your research and with every decision you make, especially when it pertains to your family, your business. But ultimately it's a feeling, and I apply that in this industry for sure, whether it be the scripts and the type of people I want to surround myself with. That I want to collaborate with. I've been so lucky and blessed to be able to work with some of the people I have, not just because they're just brilliant artists, but their approach to it, the love that you speak of, the love they have for their craft, which was instilled in me by my mother, by my parents, and just being good people. That people, you could be successful, you can be great at what you do, and you don't have to necessarily be a tortured artist. You can be happy and have depth, the same amount of depth. You can be somebody who just sees the good in life and sees the good in people and just appreciates things, and you can still be great you know, and maybe that might be boring as far as headlines are concerned, but it's still possible. And you know, she's been able to be a great example of that.
You know, I love that, man. And speaking about, you know, just that childhood, and obviously you grow up in a very unique family. I think when I think about, first of all, I love what your mom used to say, put a God in it. You know, I think about that. Yeah, I'm gonna start using that. Tell my mama Pauletta I'm gonna start using that one for my kids. But you know, I
No
think
doubt.
you know when you think about you know, some of the opportunities and the challenges and the things that you've had to overcome. I mean, obviously having parents that were very successful at what they did, I think it's such an important thing, and it helps, you know, in a way it helps kind of self-start us here a little bit here too, right? But at the same time, there's a lot of challenges that go with that. You know, what are some of those challenges that you've had to overcome that maybe some people may not know, but just that you've had to overcome just in your life, especially when you're a young kid and, you know, trying to think about, you know, what you want to do in life?
Well, it's just, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, sit here and say I feel sorry for myself, but I know that I've earned everything that I've gotten to this point. You know, I'm thinking about, even when it coming back to it, thinking about how I earned a scholarship. You know, if I deserve the scholarship just as much as the next person did, but because I come from a family that has money, do I deserve the scholarship as much? If I put in the work, if I put in more work, if my numbers are better than the other man's, is that? But because of who I'm related to, is it? Am I downgraded? Is it not as important? Do I not need it as much? You know, and so having to overcome things like that, questions like that, have been constant in my life. And people thinking that I've gotten things handed to me because of who I'm related to. I think that's why I cared so much about football, because, as you know, you got to earn every yard. You got to, every rep you get, you know, you have to show something. You have to do it immediately. You know, the NFL is, what have you done for me lately? That's not just the NFL. I think that's every level of competition. It's what have you done for me lately? So I've always kept that chip on my shoulder. I realized later, especially in the industry I'm in now, that that's bad fuel. There's no longevity in that. Like, I'll show you fuel, as far as like showing you that I'm not my dad's son or whatever, because you know, ultimately I take great pride in who I'm related to, and even though people might see it one way, I think the work just speaks for itself. You know, when I got that 242 yards, the headline is Denzel Washington's son did. Denzel Washington's son runs 4. Denzel Washington's son makes the NFL. Denzel Washington's son inks baller. So it's like, that's why I wasn't doing a lot of press and, you know, I wasn't doing a lot of publicity early, because I just wanted the work to be shown. I just wanted people to find out who I am through the work. And I ultimately still want to do that people get to see, you know, the next 10 years, let's say, they're going to start to see the kind of artist I am, the type of person I am, and what I believe in, and what I'm trying to do, and the medicine I'm trying to administer through this work, you know, because like me, when I was a kid, you know, whether it be Ninja Turtles or the movie Glory, there was great hope and there was great escapism in these characters and these cinematic experiences that really helped me, really healed me, gave me confidence about what I can do. And if I can change somebody's view of life, view of what art can be, view of what their life can be, what they can do through a movie that I'm a part of, you know, then that's what I've been put on this planet Earth to do. So,
John David, I can identify with that so much, because it's only been one week and everybody says Russell Wilson's co-host just doing a stand-up show in San Diego. Russell Wilson's co-host just now making his own podcast. So I identify with that. It's a lot.
Right. And then, so you go hard with the jokes, like, oh, I'll show them. Here's a joke.
I'm
like, this
guy.
is what I'm saying.
I'm a funny too.
Well, I'll tell you guys my experience here too. So for me, you know, speaking of that, you know, I'm Sierra's husband over here. You know, so you know, I went to 2 Super Bowls, won. Unfortunately, the second one didn't work, and the next thing you know, I'm on one of our first dates. You know, we're walking around Disney World.
I'll speak for me and John David. That's way better than being Denzel's son or Russell's co-host.
I was gonna say, man, I don't feel sorry for you, sir. All right.
Good point. So, but true story though. We were dating, and we started walking to we're walking down in Disneyland or whatever, and next thing you know, they're like, oh my God, Sierra. I literally had just, just came off of going to the second Super Bowl and everything else, playoffs and everything else. And it's Sierra. And I was right next to her. And then one lady goes, "Oh, that's our security guy. That's our security guy."
Oh,
and I was the security
no.
guy. So listen, I feel for you sometimes.
Did you play your role? Did you serve?
Hell yeah, I played the role. I put my security. I put my aviators on, and I was rolling. So
there you go. You gotta
the security guard that only lets the girl fans come over.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Keep it real.
JD. Speaking of, first of all, JD, do you have kids?
No, don't.
No.
Yeah.
So no. But what I think about, for me and C and our kids and other people who may be listening to this who may have kids that are known or anything like that. What advice would you give to them? Because I think about for you talking about and honestly not just kids who are well known, but just kids in general who are trying to find their own identity. I think you talked about that a little bit, which is kind of cool. I would love to know like what advice would you give to a young kid who's trying to find their own identity?
That you are good enough, you're your own person, and to prove that to not only the people around you, but to yourself, you have to work on it every day. You have to work tirelessly. You have to be relentless in your pursuit of your independence. Listen to your parents, obviously, but you can control your destiny. You can control how hard you work and the hours and the effort that you put in to gain that independence that you seek at all costs. Nothing should stop you. Nothing can stop you but yourself.
I love it, man. I think creating your own identity is so critical, especially in today's society with these phones and everything else that people get distracted by, which is okay. But the reality is that we've lost, I think, especially with the youth and this generation, we've lost the sense of finding ourselves and knowing that and understanding that. And, I think the mental space is so important to be able to say, who do I want to be? What's my life that I want to create? What's the story that I want to be able to build and to be able to do that? And I think for a person like you, for example, JD, from going from, from an athlete to obviously, acting, and you've created your own story. You've created your own storyline and everything else, which is amazing. So, I wish I could create my own storyline. I wish, for me, I wish you could have, you did Ballers and everything else. And I just wish that I could have gotten a cameo in Ballers. I could have been. I'm a baller.
You was on the big screen. You did. You were on Entourage. I saw that.
I know, but Entourage was great, and Ballers was great too. So I was trying to, get a cameo, which I was trying to throw you a deep ball. I know you used to you played receiver and all that in Ballers, so I'm trying to let me throw you a deep ball every once in a while.
John, it sounds like athletes are just like us. Yeah, they get a thing, but then they still just want more. How do I get another thing too? How do I get another?
I know. I love it, man. Go for it.
So listen,
go ahead,
John.
Sorry.
You have it?
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say was obviously we've learned, so much from you already, JD, and just it's so cool just to hearing your story and everything else. I'm about to do this ad read real fast. I'm going to hit this ad read, and then we can start talking about Tenet. And then I'm going to talk about, I'm going to have a little fun with you with this little 2-minute drill in a second, all right? It was sure nice seeing the teams back out on the gridiron over the weekend. Lucky for us, that was just week 1. There was no better place to get in on all the action than with DraftKings, the leader in one-day fantasy sports. To add to this week's excitement, DraftKings has millions of dollars in total prizes up for grabs. If you haven't tried DraftKings yet, head to the app now because you don't want to miss this. Draft your lineup now and feel the sweat like never before. Every run, every pass, and catch means more with DraftKings. It's simple. Just pick your lineup, stay under the salary cap, and see how your team stacks up against the competition. Nothing adds to the excitement of watching the game quite like having a shot at millions of dollars in prizes. DraftKings has paid out billions of dollars to winners since 2012, so they know a thing or two about cold hard cash. Download the DraftKings app now and use code DangerTalk. For a limited time, new users can get a free shot at millions of dollars in prizes this week. Don't miss out on the week 2 action. Enter code DangerTalk to get a free shot at millions of dollars in prizes with your first deposit. That's code DangerTalk only at DraftKings. Make it rain. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details. Now back to Danger Talk interview with the one and only John David Washington. Let's talk about your new movie, Tenet. I mean, this movie is unbelievable. Yeah. First of all, I'm excited to see it this weekend. I'm actually going to take, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to take a little Sierra on a little date night, to watch it this weekend. I'm fired up about it. Yeah. I did get to see the trailer. I did get to see a little bit of the BTS and all that. And I think Chris Nolan handpicked you to be in this Tenet movie. What was that phone call like? I mean, I know Chris Nolan's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, it would be like playing for like a Parcells or even a Lombardi for that matter. He is one of the greatest directors of all time, in my opinion. I've loved his movies, since I can remember. So every time you go to his movies, it's going to be, especially in the movie theater, it's going to be an experience, a unique one. He's just he's such a phenomenal, he's such a storyteller, a brilliant filmmaker. So when I got the call, when I found out that he wanted to meet me, it was like, I don't know, I would imagine if he get drafted first round or something, it was something unbelievable, so crazy. Now that didn't guarantee the job or anything. In fact, it was funny. When we ended up sitting down and talked for like 2.5 hours, we didn't talk about anything Tenet. We talked about, what we loved about movies. We talked about family, my experience in football and my athletic background. And I was just thinking to myself as this was going, like, not only am I, wow, this is so crazy. I'm talking to Chris Nolan right now. We just kicking it. This is nuts. But like how, like, he's just a down to earth, cool dude. Like he just, he knows movies. He can quote Wayne's World. He knew the documentary, Hoop Dreams. I'm like, man, this dude's just well versed. Because, when you think of somebody as big as he is, as I think, as he's just the number one stunner. He doesn't even seem human. He's just like, this guy might be a cyborg or something, a person that you'll never think you'll ever cross paths with, you'll never meet. So not only that, I'm meeting him, I'm just kicking it with him in his office. This is nuts. So it went. I felt like it went well, but I felt like there was no pressure because I didn't feel like it was a job interview. We were just talking, and if anything came out of it or nothing came out of it, I'd have been just as satisfied because, hey, I could say I kicked it and chopped it up with one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. So fast forward to when I get the call about I got the job, and not only get the job, I get to be the quarterback of the team. I was just that felt like I don't have any kids, like, as mentioned before, but I imagine that's like seeing him firstborn or something, because that it was one of the happiest moments of my life when I found out that he picked me. And then we just got to work, man. It took me about 4 hours to read the daggone script because I ain't never read nothing like that before in my life. And, I had to, I found myself, reading 20 pages and going back 10, reading another 20, going back 10. Like, wait, I can't believe how are they gonna pull this off. So it was one of the I've never read anything like it. A story, just the way he deals with time and the way he deals with plot and character in the sci-fi world. It's incredible.
Well, I heard one of the crazy things about the movie, which I'm fired up to see. But also, I heard one of the things that you had to do just to even get the job and everything else. Didn't you have to get like locked away in a room or something crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I was locked in the room, but I didn't hear a lock. I'll put it like that. But I was definitely isolated, and I pulled my iPad out and bumped some classical music. Actually, I was bumping the score. I know this is kind of corny, but I was bumping the Hans Zimmer score of Interstellar while reading the script. Is that on the nose? Maybe, maybe not. But I just couldn't believe the moment I was having, like reading his script in his office that I'm gonna do. Like I felt like I was in Inception. Like, this is obviously, I'm gonna wake up soon. This isn't happening. But I was isolated by myself and in his office and read it for like 4 hours.
What's it like filming a movie, around the world? I mean, obviously that movie was filmed in Estonia, I think Italy, I think it was in India as well, Denmark, Norway. Yeah. All these different places, obviously United States, United Kingdom, and stuff like that. So what was it like, filming that around the world, and how was that process?
Oh man, it was life changing. I mean, I was, for 2019, I was basically overseas for the majority portion of the year, and it just gave me such I don't know. I felt like an awakening almost. Like even in Mumbai, I just had such a spiritual sort of breakthrough, if you will. The place was so peaceful, so tranquil. The people there were so inviting, and accepting of this foreigner that was in their on their land, that they would embrace me like, I don't know, it was like they were reading through my soul or something. It was, I just felt so at home, as if like, I don't know, like I had been there before in another life. You know, I loved Mumbai, and the food was just unbelievable. I loved the food because I've been warned, like, you might get sick, you gotta be careful with the food, but I had no issues there. You know, I connected with everything about that place. I loved Italy as well. I mean, the Amalfi Coast. I mean, come on, we're just slicing across the Mediterranean on a boat, you know, looking as cool as I can be, you know, playing a spy. Like, it was just, I mean, that's like the dream. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was just so remarkable to be in all these locations, and it just gave me great perspective on how, you know, people are living their lives all across the world, all over the world. There's some great, you know, I met some great people, some happy people living their lives, enjoying the simple pleasures of life, you know. And I just got a lot of love from those locations, those two in particular, but every place. And what it did, these locations, is gives the movie a personality. It just takes on the personality of the locations, because Christopher Nolan doesn't believe in green screens. You can't say, oh, that's computer generated. Oh, that looked fake. None of that is fake. Everything you see in camera is where we were. And especially for times like now where traveling is limited, you really can't travel. So being able to escape into these locations through a movie, through the IMAX experience, it's just so gratifying to see. It just makes you feel good.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that I saw, you know, in the movie and in the trailer and all that too, is just going to be this idea of these stunts that you're doing. Are you actually doing these stunts? I know Christopher Nolan, as you mentioned, he loves it to be, you know, actually real. Like when you're sitting there watching the movie on IMAX, like I'm gonna be Friday night, when you're sitting there on date night watching it, it's like you're actually watching the real thing. So for you, like talk to me about these stunts. I heard you had to do all these stunts that are crazy.
Oh man, well, like you and your wife can appreciate, you know, rehearsal, you know, practice. And it was a Christopher Nolan training camp for 2 months, learning how to sort of think in the world of inversion. You know, I'm so used to advancing a football forward. You know, you're usually penalized, or it's not, or a negative play is not a good thing in football. Even in a fight, even when you're fighting, you want to fight forward. But in the inverted world, backwards is advancing. You know, up is down, right is left. So it's the laws of physics and quantum physics and gravity all are shifted because of these rules. So I had to learn how to, like, blink, walk, talk, run, fight, avoid, evade punches, you know, and defense mechanisms. All that I had to learn forwards and backwards. So it was a trip to, like, teach my body, and I felt comfortable and confident that I would be able to pick it up with the reps. But that being said, it was a trip to, like, having to learn the way to be, you know, like this, with these laws and these rules in place, especially because Christopher Nolan is all practical. There were no camera tricks, you know, we had to do it all ourselves. I mean, we had to really learn how to fight this way to make it look as real and authentic as possible. So I loved it. You know, my body didn't agree with it as much. I had to pamper it. I got the massages. I got the ice tub, cold. All of that stuff I had to do just like I was playing ball. And it was like, and your wife would appreciate this too, it felt like learning a dance, you know, in a lot of ways. You drill it over and over again to make it look like it's seamless, to make it look like, you know, you're not, like, you didn't rehearse these moves. And then, like, as you know, like, when you get in that zone, when you could just read the defense and you have to ad-lib, even though you've studied it one way, but if somebody decides, if there's a DB that makes a move that you weren't expecting, you have to ad-lib, you have to adjust. And a lot of times that would happen in these fight scenes where we'd adjust the scene, we would adjust the move because it's going to be better, it's going to be, give it more of a richness when we're in the space. And you got to be able to adapt and do that, just like when you're learning your lines. So it was a lot of work that was put in. There was a great team of people. George Cotto, who's been his Chris' stunt coordinator for a long time, and Jackson, our fight coordinator. Shout out to those guys, because the day in and day out grind of it, we were doing 3 a days for about 2 months. It really got me the confidence that I needed to be the protagonist.
I think you talked about, you know, this idea of inversion, thinking of things backwards, you know, in reverse. And what's really cool about that, because for me, I've never done that physically, but I love thinking about things forward and thinking about things backwards visually. So it's kind of a little secret of visualization, in my opinion, is that to always think about, obviously you think about the ball going into the end zone, but you're also thinking about what it looks like backwards and feeling the ball in your hand. And so that's one of the things that I try to do on Saturday nights, is thinking about the ball going forward, but also envisioning the crowd coming everybody's raised up already and everything going backwards. And that's always been a problem of my visualization in terms of inversion, thinking of it backwards as well. And so I think it's important to think about forwards, but also backwards. And that's when you start mastering this idea of the mind, mastering this idea of the vision of success and what it looks like. And I couldn't imagine doing stunts backwards, or I'm trying to even think about how I would do my drop backwards and throwing backwards and all that.
That's what I'm right.
Doing. That's crazy.
That's crazy, right? I mean, I'm glad you said it like that too. But I mean, this is the mind of a Christopher Nolan, feeling the same way, thinking about it this way. And so some of these fights, you gotta, the way you throw a punch and then the movement, how, that kind of phrase. I know forwards and backwards. I know inside out. Well, he literally had to do that on this film. And I think you'll really appreciate, especially the stunt sequences in this, because that's exactly what's happening. So I think you really appreciate that experience.
Yeah, for sure. I know you've worked with two of the greatest, directors of all time, and Spike Lee and also Christopher Nolan. And, if you were, a football coach, let's just say, how would you describe their style in terms of coaching, in terms of, how they teach the game? I think about, professionalism. I think about, how perfect everybody wants every detail to be. How would you describe that? Because I'm thinking about Coach Carroll, for example, and how he loves everything to be, set up and detailed and everything else. But also he's free. He's like, you know what? Do what you feel is best. Like right here, see it, feel in the moment. He gives us he calls it player's mind. Give you the player's mind. But when you think about people like Christopher Nolan, and you think about people like Spike Lee and people like Michael Jackson, I heard were so detailed in every little movement.
Right.
What were they like?
Yeah, I never thought about what I could compare it to. I mean, I think about maybe an Andy Reid mixed with a Belichick. I mean, just how cerebral Chris Nolan is. I mean, it's almost like he predicted this pandemic. I swear, like he's just so ahead of the game and on things, but yet he's so free, like you said, Pete Carroll is, and he welcomed my instincts. That's what I love. This is what I loved about both of these guys. And when I say guys, Spike Lee and Christopher Nolan, that they're at the top of their game, right? They've accomplished so much. They really don't know. They don't need any awards or anything to validate their accomplishments and what they've done, what they've contributed to the art, right? They've done so well, and they've produced just life, changing, movie experiences, at least for me. And here they are having this youthful, exuberant energy daily on set. They love production, and they're humble in the way that the best idea in the room wins. That they want the best for the movie. They want the best story to be told. So there is an ego removed when you're taking your words and sort of handing it over to your actors, taking your playbook and handing it over to your quarterback. I think when they've been successful with so many different people and so many different times consistently, and yet they have no egos. And I've been on sets where it's not the case, where it's my idea and also offer some insecurity or whatever it may be. But here these guys are at the top of their game. They don't need anything. They know what to do. They know how to do it. And yet they at least make you feel like they're still learning. They have this sense of wonder and curiosity that I think is maybe the secret sauce and why they're so consistent with what they do. They're open to discovery. I think they just, on a fundamental level, on a basic level, just love storytelling. I think they appreciate performances and what artists can bring to them when you have the right energy. And by that I mean when you're just there to service the film. If we all are in the service industry, if we're serving this film, this movie for the audience, then there shouldn't be an ego. It shouldn't be a problem. Let's just find out what's best for the movie. We can try different things. We can keep things. We can throw stuff away, but we find it together as a unit. And that's what they both possessed, along with all their technical movies, the movie filming skills. I mean, it's just next level for me. It was a great experience. And I want to continue that. I want to, Yeah.
Is there any other director that you would love to work with on top of obviously working with guys like Spike Lee and Christopher Nolan?
A whole bunch of them. I can't even. I mean, there's Steve McQueen's of the world, Barry Jenkins of the world. There's Quentin Tarantino's of the world. There's Fincher's of the world.
Pete Carroll.
Pete. I mean, there you go. I mean, I would love to be in the meeting to see how Pete Carroll gets down. I'd love to see how Andy Reid just breaks down. I mean, I would love to see a meeting how do you break down Russell Wilson or Mahomes. Like, what can you say to guys like that have accomplished so much? You know what I mean? I just love to see how that works because of consistency. There's something to it when you're just doing it year after year. It's not a fluke. It's not just it just happened to be on that year. There's something to it, and it's more than just the science. It's more than just a clinical reason. There's I think there's a spirit, there's an energy, there's a humility to it that's a part of it that gives you that longevity, which both Spike Lee and Christopher Nolan possess, in my experience.
Well, I think the key part to greatness, to excellence, to what you're referring to in terms of Christopher Nolan's and Spike Lee's and some of the best directors in the world and actors, and and you're going to be one of those guys who's going to be one of the all-time greats in acting, and obviously your dad has been one of those guys, and I think part of that a part of that journey is the obsession with it. Right. It's like,
okay.
like to me, you got to be obsessed with the work. You got to be obsessed with the process.
Good point.
And
Good point.
you can't let up. You can't let up on anything that's not the perfection when you're practicing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because otherwise then you're settling for something less. And to me, when we practice, for example, like I'm expecting every ball, to be caught. I'm expecting every ball to be thrown perfectly. I'm expecting, and if we don't get it right, we're running the play again, or I'm getting that rep again. Either before or after, and we're going to rep it a few times. And to see that, and to me, what it's always been for me in terms of playing a quarterback position, let's just say a ball hits the ground, we're gonna do that right then and right there to clear our mind, to make sure that we've seen the catch visually. Once again, going to that forward backward inversion thought process, right? Like I want to instill that confidence in that receiver. I want to instill that confidence in myself, so that way when we go back to the game, that play is going to be made. And
right.
I just think that's so fascinating, and the cool thing about, when I've been on movie sets is that everything slows down that much more 100x, because you get to shoot it 100 times over, which is a part of the movie world and everything else.
Yeah. Well, this week, Russ, you did almost make every single freaking, I mean, they caught everything. You were on fire this week.
I know. You were balling, bro. You were balling, bro.
It was a good day, but that's over with. We got to have this week. Or we go against the Patriots, but
let's go backwards. Let's go backwards.
Can I comment on that too, though, Russ? Like, I love what you said though, because I feel that's what I've took from football as well. Like I've seen artists, like they think if they get a hit show, they get a hit this or that, then the work is done. They can just be on cruise control. But to me, like a season, the last movie or the last season, of a show or whatever, it has nothing to do with the next one. I even heard my old man say, "What's your favorite movie you've ever done?" He always says the next one. And that's what it's all about to me. So I would echo that for sure. I love that you said that, because it's all about, as it's all about the next week.
Yeah, it is true. And I think it's to have that clear vision, of the next one is really critical, because it keeps you humble too, keeps you hungry. It keeps you working for that idea, because like you never hit a perfect spot. You never hit it every time where it's just like, oh, that was perfect, because the next challenge is ahead of you. And then now what you've done is you've set a new standard, and that's your new standard. So when Tenet continues to blow up and doing what it's doing, you've set that new standard. You've set that new standard of challenges and stunts and things that you've done that you've never thought about before. And when you get surrounded around great people like Christopher Nolan and great directors like that, or Spike Lee, for example, it's when you get around a Denzel Washington or get around a John David Washington, there's a standard that's set. And so the reality is that once you set that standard, then that's the expectation, not only for yourself, but others that come into your presence, others that are going to work with you. Also, it's the expectation for your fans. When they watch you, when they watch John David Washington, they're expecting the greatest to perform. And that's just the reality. And it starts somewhere. Everybody gets better along the way. And as you can, increase that, which I'm super excited to see this movie Tenet and to experience it and to watch.
That's why I expect Russell Wilson to beat the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl this year by 100 points, 150 points. My expectation's higher.
Hey, I hear you.
Yeah. But we appreciate it. Take that under consideration, Russ. But you just stick to your process, man.
Speaking of process, I need some acting advice. I'm trying to go back to where I could have had that chance to do your dad, but I completely failed that. So I'm trying to think about how your dad would say, the next one, or I don't know how you would say it, but how would your dad say the next one? Huh? Like, does he do it? His acting voice all the time?
I can't. I see that. All I got is like childhood memories and like taking out the trash. Him saying that was one of them. That's what I had for you. To do the next one, I don't know how he would say that. Who knows? Depends on what mood he's in. He could be in an accent mood. He could be feeling European. He can do accents. So you gotta be able to expand your mind, brother.
So obviously, JD, you're on Danger Talk. It's my podcast. We obviously love 2-minute drill, the end of the game, crucial moments. And so you're an athlete. You played ball. You're on Tenet. You've done all this different stuff. So you've played in the league and everything else. So 2 minutes is the most important part of the game. So we're gonna fire some questions at you, and you can say, listen, JD, you can say one or the other, but you can also, if you like both, you can say both. But we prefer you to choose one. Okay, you ready to roll?
Okay.
All right. Jeff,
you're gonna give him the both option. I think that is not fair. You're too nice to these kids.
Come on, it's my first time. Come on, my first time on the show. Work with me.
You gotta commit, John David. You gotta commit. You pick one. You pick one of these.
Okay. I'll okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, ready to roll? Here you go. 2 minutes.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Now. Go.
All right. Morning or night person?
Nighttime.
Russ?
Well, me, I'm a morning person.
Okay. Favorite cheat meal?
Bojangles chicken.
Ooh, Bojangles took it down to the south. Hey, those Bowberry biscuits, no joke.
Oh my God, it's bow time. Bow time.
I'm going with mac and cheese. We got 25 seconds on the clock. We got to roll.
All right. First big purchase you guys made, John David, go.
Flat screen TV.
Ooh. First big purchase I made. I got a Mercedes GLS. Mercedes black. This is when I got drafted for pro baseball.
All right, Eagles or Seahawks? Go, John David.
Eagles.
Seahawks. Come on, now let's go. Next.
All right. Jordans or Yeezys?
Jordans.
All right, yeah, there's no Air Yeezy. All right, protagonist or antagonist? John David, go.
What in the movie or just in movies, period?
What you like to play?
What I like to play? I love both. So I'll just about antagonist. I like antagonist.
Antagonist.
All right, and Russ, what do you like to watch?
I like watching the antagonist.
Yeah, see, okay. Right,
What's the superpower you would want most, John David?
I didn't hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead. I didn't hear you.
Superpower that you would want the most.
Oh, mind reader.
Fly.
Ooh.
Fly.
Oh, that's mine too. All right, coffee or tea? John David.
Tea.
Coffee.
All right, last question. Favorite vacation spot? Go.
Amalfi Coast, Positano, Italy.
Woo, fancy. I'm going Seychelles, and then I'm throwing the last one in there, Cabo.
And mine is Kent, Washington. That's mine. Hey, that was fun.
Nice. You did good
Cabo.
there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I gotta love a little Cabo.
I love that answer. I'm
gonna
throw that Cabo in there.
Yeah.
What up? For sure. That was funny.
So obviously,
cool.
before we go, I have one last question, for me, and just something I'm really super passionate about right now. And obviously, there's so much going on in the world, and I think about, everything that's going on, especially for African Americans, especially for the Black community, JD.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, first of all, I'd love to know, how do you think we can make the world a better place? First of all, in this whole process.
I mean, that's a grand question. I think, for one, inclusion is necessary, and some of what I've been seeing with people that don't look like us, we're talking about white folks being on the front line, marching, putting their money where their mouth is, it's been very encouraging to see. I like to see, our leaders. I like to take leadership from, people like you. Think about LeBron James. I think, just some of our community leaders to give us the next step. I think voting is a big key. finding that change you're talking about. And we have to get out there and vote. Is what I think about right now.
Yeah, no, I think it's so critical that we make sure that we vote, and I think that's so critical because we're in an interesting time. I think we're in an interesting time.
Yeah.
I think we're in an interesting time of so much going on in the world, so much going on in America, and the reality is that we're at a tipping point. We're at a tipping point. We're at a tipping point of decisions, of leadership, and of everything, and change. We're at a tipping point, and sometimes it's okay to be at a tipping point because the reality is that's where we get the most change. But we have to be active. We all have to do our part. We have to love better. We have to be able to do our part, and I think it's really, really critical along the way. And when I think about doing our part, I think we all have these, everyday heroes in our worlds. And I think for me, I've had my own everyday heroes. I think about some of the people that have made an impact on my life, especially some of the men in my life or whatever. But, I think about, my brother, for example. My brother was one of my everyday heroes because he's given me so much advice and so many experiences. And those everyday heroes could also be somebody you worked with, somebody that you've been around. But, I have a clothing line called Good Man Brand, and we do this whole thing around, my everyday heroes. And I would love to know from you, John David Washington, is, who has been your everyday hero? And it could be one or two people, but who are examples of your everyday heroes, and more importantly, why?
Well, I think about a lot of people in the industry that I'm in. I think about, the one I've got to work with, Spike Lee, and what he's meant to people that look like us in our industry from way back on the front lines in this industry when it wasn't in vogue to include people like us, like to feature people like us. I think of like Ryan Coogler. I think of the late Chadwick Boseman. In my industry, I think of Denzel Washington. These kinds of people that have been on the front line, making it possible for the Ryan Cooglers of the world, the Chadwicks of the world. Those are heroes of mine. What they fought for. They had something to say. They were, and they did it in such a way, in such a creative and nuanced way. It wasn't just playing gangster number 5, athlete 4. We come from many different backgrounds and all have many different experiences. We've contributed so much to the culture, to our world and what we think is cool and what we think is important, what we think is relevant. How we see culture, a lot of that. So I thinking about those people, those are heroes of mine, other than my mom, obviously. She's definitely a hero of mine and what she's gone through and persevered to keep her family and raise the children that she's raised and still been able to accomplish the things she's accomplished. So I think about people like that. The different filmmakers. I think about Christopher Nolan, who's like a hero of mine because he's uncompromising, even how he handles the business part of it. He's made me privy to a lot of, he's given me a lot of information on how to conduct yourself professionally that I know even in football, Steve Jackson, who was like a big brother to me, gave me was able to do the same things for me. So, people like that, as a percentage of my particular industry and what we can do, to maybe initiate change. I'm not trying to change the world, but if I can inspire one person that has the ability to change the world, if there's a movie that I've done that the next Michelle Obama sees and is inspired to become her greatness, then my mission is accomplished. And this is why I name these as my heroes.
John, as you mentioned some of those everyday heroes, I think about your dad. I think about, you mentioned Spike Lee. I think about Christopher Nolan and, Chadwick Boseman and people like that who just have changed, the movie space, have changed the opportunity, creating opportunity for people. You mentioned, Stephen Jackson, a guy who you got to play with and everything else. And so you're definitely a hero. We'll have to send those heroes, some Good Man Brand for sure. And just I'll send you something for sure too as well, man.
Thank you.
We're super grateful to have you on the Danger Talk, man. It's been a blast.
You're the best, man.
Yeah, you're the best in the business of what you do.
Me.
And I can't wait to watch Tenet this Friday night, man. So fired up about it, and just grateful for you to be on the show and keep doing what you're doing.
All right, date night Friday. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Friday night, be there.
We'll be waiting. We'll be waiting for those rookie cards.
Fair enough. I got you. Cool.
All right, JD.
All right, y'all. Peace.
That was the one and only John David Washington, Jeff died, man. He had so much.
What a
he had so
spiritual
much,
guy, you know?
yeah, he had
Spiritual.
he just had so much, so many inspiring things to say. I love what he talked about, about his heroes and his everyday heroes and why they impacted him and how they changed history and how they changed time. I think about, you think about somebody who's gone from the challenges of having to grow up in a space, which is a blessing at the same time, but also a challenge that there's to how to create his own identity. I love that part where he talked about, he was able to, find a way to create his own identity and how he wanted to be able to establish himself in not just the sports space, not just in the acting space, but just in his life and how to do that. And some of the advice he gave there. And he seems like he has fun too. So I love that. Yeah.
Do you feel the big difference between talking to like an athlete celebrity and then like an actor celebrity? I felt like it was just as fun for sure, but it was cool to just talk to a guy that is clearly a thespian,
Well, to me, with him, you can definitely tell where the competitive edge comes out. He has this brilliant mind as well in terms of how he speaks and how he thinks through things and processes everything. But also too, I think what's really great, is just that he's lived a life of influence and impact. And to be honest with you, he's been surrounded around men who have changed the world and the spaces that they've been in. And I think that's really powerful, itself. So JD was great to have on the show. That's for sure.
So I want to know where your mind's at. You got a big weekend coming up. You crushed it this weekend, but you got Cam Newton and those pesky New England Patriots next week. Are you geared up? You ready to go?
Yeah, fired up, man. It'll be a great week. We've been studying film all day. We've been getting ready for this game. So, as soon as you get back on that plane after, the past game we just had against the Falcons, as soon as I get back on the plane, I'm already watching the New England tape and watching everything they've done and how they do it in the past games and stuff like that. So you gotta get prepared every week. And we had a great week last week. It's time to have another one, and even better this week, hopefully. So it's gonna be a challenge for sure. They're gonna be ready to roll. I know Cam's been playing great too as well. I love to see him playing again because we've had so many great battles against each other over the past, and he's been one of the best to do it, in the history of this game. And so I'm excited to go up against him again and just have another one of those great battles.
You guys are both coming off of a huge week. When you watch Cam's tape, you nervous? You rattle? You don't get nervous or rattle, but I mean, like, what do you think? Give us some Cam opinion.
I don't ever get nervous, but I've loved how he's approached this whole off season. He's been about the game and just trying to get ready. I've gotten to know him from a distance, and also I know some of the people that he knows and stuff like that. And also we got Greg Olson too on our team. So, I'm excited just to. I love when great players are playing. It's just fun. You want the league to be the best it could possibly be, and so to have him back playing, and even though we're going up against him this week, it'll be fun to see him, try to do his thing, and hopefully he doesn't do too good. But
exactly.
Not this week.
Who I'm rooting for.
Not
I was
this
just saying Cam's good, and I like Cam, but Russell Wilson's my guy in the Seahawks for life. Well, we had a good week here. We've had Shaq, John David Washington. We're gonna have a big week next week. I'm geared up for that. I'm excited. Man, this has been great.
Yeah, man, it's been great, man. Just to lead off with Shaq, a guy who's been. You think about the versatility that these two guys have had. You think about Shaq being, as big as he is and as talented he is obviously playing basketball, but then transferring that into, the acting, DJing, policing space. To obviously you have a guy like John David Washington who's done so much in his lifetime already. Being the star in Ballers, playing in the NFL. Going to Morehouse College and beating the odds there. With the circumstances there and being able to step into the league. And then now obviously being such a great actor in this movie Tenet. I mean, could you imagine playing this movie backwards? I mean, this is incredible. No. So I'm fired up to see that, and I loved it when he talked about that too as well, and the visualization of that and how that process is. So yeah, next week it's gonna be just as good, if not better. It's gonna be a great week. So we got a little surprise for you guys next week, and we're excited about it.
Good.
Let's keep this thing going with Danger Talk.
There's no fans in the audience for your game this week, so we got to hear you guys a lot more. So let's just end this podcast with the same thing I heard you say all day on Sunday. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly, man. Let's go. All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Danger Talk, episode 3 coming next week. John David Washington was amazing today. We'll talk to you guys soon. Danger Talk. We out.